Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham is one of India's premier top-ranked universities which focuses on transforming lives through learning, research and innovation. The university was established 19 years ago in the year 2003 and has made significant achievements in a short time. Education for life, education for living. Amrita University is guided by the thoughtfulness of our Chancellor, Amma, who laid down the philosophy of education for life by placing equal stress on education for a living. It is this vision that led to the establishment of a vast network of educational institutions that provide modern education while imparting the traditional values. While the pursuit of academic excellence forms the core of Amrita's success, it also undertakes the responsibility to shape the whole character of youngsters with love, care, and compassion. The university is headquartered at the foothills of the Western Ghats in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, and has 5 other campuses spread across South India in Amrithapuri, Kerala, Kochi, Kerala, Bengaluru, Karnataka, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and Mysore, Karnataka. The university will soon launch its new campuses in Amravati, Andhra Pradesh, Faridabad, Delhi, NCR. Our inspiration, a renowned humanitarian leader and spiritual leader, Amba is the Chancellor and guiding light of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Amma's concept of education, stress on research, and commitment to instilling universal values have come together to shape Amrita into an institution where the latest achievements and discoveries combined with compassion and service-mindedness. As Amma said in 2010, when the State University of New York presented her with an honorary doctorate in Humane Letters. Rankings. The multi-campus, multidisciplinary research establishment is ranked as 5th best university in India 2021 by National Institutional Ranking Framework, NIRF. We have also been accorded the status of Institute of Eminence, IOE, by the Ministry of Education, Government of India. A testament to our pursuit of excellence is the NAC A++ accreditation score, the highest possible. NAC accreditation measures universities for excellence in curricular aspects, teaching, learning and evaluation, research, innovations and extension, infrastructure and learning resources, student support and progression, governance, leadership and management, institutional values and best practices, global impact and international collaborations. Among the private educational institutions in the country, Amrita has entered into MOUs and collaborations with more than 450 leading universities around the globe. Students also benefit from our relations with industries and interactions with top management of multinational companies. These collaborations facilitate student exchange programs, student visits, industrial training, and project guidance under reputed corporate entities. Placements. Placements at Amrita have always been best in class, with students usually having more than 1 job offer. Some students have up to 3 job offers by the end of their course from reputed MNCs, be it engineering, management, life sciences, arts or sciences. Amrita is a place where the world's best companies look for talent. More than 200 companies visit the campus every year, and the average salary offered to our students is 5.8 lakh per annum. Meanwhile, the highest package offered is 56.95 lakh per annum, and the highest stipend for internship is rupees 80,000 per month. Amrita's Technology Business Incubator, TBI, is a non-profit supported by the Government of India that funds, mentors, and nurtures ideas by startups and entrepreneurs. It focuses on developing innovations in the areas of information technology, cybersecurity, networking, social media, and more. The TBI startups have obtained multiple awards and recognition, both from India and across the globe. Till date, TBI has incubated more than 75 startups and mentored 216 startup ideas with 0% loss from investments. It funds up to 1 crore rupees per startup and has opened up many more funding options through its partnership with venture capital firms and angel investor networks. Amrita TBI is one of the only 6 incubators selected to be world-class under Niti Aayog's Atal Innovation Mission. Campus life. A home away from home. At Amrita, we believe in a holistic approach towards our students' development. To augment students' classroom learning, all campuses provide students with digital and central libraries, quiet study centers, seminar halls, e-learning studios, computer labs, and campus-wide free Wi-Fi. The university encourages both indoor and outdoor sports and games, and there are world-class swimming pools, gymnasiums, stadiums, and games arenas. Various clubs cater to the artistic and scientific minds of the students. If you look around all of Amrita's campuses, you will see the prevailing educational environment is in communion with nature. The sand, the seas, and the sky define the backdrop of these temples of learning. It vibrates with an energy of togetherness and encourages us to live in harmony with everything around us, including a unity within ourselves. This setting is suited to instill both learners and the learned with the courage and wisdom to face the challenges of life. The campus at Ettimady is considered India's most picturesque. It is like an oasis in a desert. What started out as a barren landscape underwent a miraculous transformation through the university's tree planting project. Today, there are more than 1 lakh trees growing there, the most extensive collection in number and species on a university campus in South India. The Live-in Labs program originated from Amma's idea to bridge the rural and urban divide by sending university students to remote villages in India to understand the everyday difficulties faced by people living there. The program is designed to be a multidisciplinary real-life learning experience offered to both international participants and Amrita University's faculty and students. The lab's objective is to expose youths to day-to-day problems faced in rural communities with a 2-week to 6-month periods of live-in internships in Indian villages. It also aims to inspire them to dedicate the knowledge and skills they acquired at university to help develop practical, cost-effective solutions to the challenges faced by the villages. Researchers at Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham partner with senior scientists at world's leading research universities to innovate new ideas and invent new products, applying existing technology towards solving some of the world's most pressing problems, from disaster management to assuring access to education and the management and cure of diseases. This effort reflects in Amrita's national and international research rankings. India's first UNESCO Chair on Women's Empowerment and Gender Equality. Empowerment through Innovation and Technology. The Center for Women Empowerment and Gender Equality is a research-focused academic center for promoting gender equality and fostering women's empowerment with a special focus on using technology and other innovative methods. This center will offer diverse courses in key focus areas, pilot radical ideas, and collaborate with leading universities and institutions. The Amala Bharadam Campaign, ABC, Clean India Campaign was a program pioneered by Amrita, aimed at improving public health and restoring India's physical beauty. The project was launched in 2010 during Amma's 57th birthday celebrations, and through this campaign, volunteers undertake periodic cleaning of roads, markets, temples, government offices, and hospitals. As a part of this campaign, garbage was sorted and either recycled or properly disposed of. Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, along with Kerala's Prisons and Correctional Services and Tamil Nadu Prison Department, initiated Amrita Yoga classes and IIM Technique meditation sessions in 2018 to address and transform the physical, mental, and emotional health of prison inmates. Our goal is to teach yoga and meditation techniques to help the prison inmates become more self-aware. They learn to breathe with awareness and manage emotions through these exercises. Ours is a changing world. It needs people who can adapt to change, with minds that can expand and include change, and yet hold human-friendly values that can withstand all changes. Which is why the world needs education that shapes the minds of these people, and which is why the world needs Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Education for life, education for living. A universe.
Very happy evening. So hi students, a very happy evening to everyone present here. So I welcome you all to the day 2 of Engineering Foundation program. So I'll be just sharing my screen. So just hold on for a minute. So I hope the screen is visible and the audio and video are clear. Yes, I think a lot of students have started using the chat box. Okay. So there is something with my camera. Is it okay now? Is it fine, Parvati ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So I think we'll start today's session. So yesterday we were discussing about a mathematics topic. So today we'll be discussing a physics topic. That's a really interesting topic and a lot of students are interested in this topic. So without further delay, we'll start today's session. Yes, okay. So I'm checking the chat box. So if there is anything, so I think everything is good to go. So today we have something to discuss and it's electromagnetic waves. This is a very interesting topic. We have a lot more things to discuss related to electromagnetic waves. You have studied what is the electromagnetic wave, the definition, maybe about the electromagnetic spectrum, what all are its components, which all rays are there, what are its constituent parts, what are the properties of each one, in which area all these are using. So we'll start with the base itself. So you can type in the chat box, what's electromagnetic wave, or what's your definition of electromagnetic wave? Yes. So the EM waves or electromagnetic waves are those type of waves which are created as a result of vibrations between the electric as well as the magnetic field. So it's a very common wave. It includes a lot of category of waves, and it's having a lot more application. So is there any difference in the electromagnetic wave compared to the other category of waves? So I would say electromagnetic wave differs from the common type of mechanical wave. It's something like they don't need a medium to propagate. I know you have the basics with you. So another point I wish to specify is we have the electric field and the magnetic field of the electromagnetic wave at right angles to each other, which means they are perpendicular to each other, and also they are perpendicular to the direction of the electromagnetic wave. Now, this diagram is familiar to all of you. I hope so. Yes, all the different types of waves are called as electromagnetic waves. I saw your answer in the chat box, Venkata Sohan. So you know the spectrum. You have maybe in your exams you have drawn this, and maybe some of you have already having an idea about the wavelengths of each of these radiations. So the electromagnetic radiation, or the EMR, which refers to the waves of the electromagnetic field. We have different ones, and they are propagating through the space, and they have a particular amount of energy. We call them as electromagnetic radiant energy. So see the different classification. We have 7 categories here. So from the diagram, you can clearly see the wavelength as well as the frequency of them. So we have radio waves, we have microwaves, we have infrared waves, we have visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. So this is something which constitutes the electromagnetic spectrum. Now moving on, how an electromagnetic wave behave? It's just a question to all of you. How an electromagnetic wave behave? Maybe in each substance, or depending upon which substance it is, the behavior differs. So the behavior is depending upon 2 important factors, and the 2 important factors are frequency and wavelength. So can anybody give me the definition of what is frequency and what is wavelength? This is very important and the basic concept of physics, right? What is frequency? What is wavelength? Can anybody give me the definition? So I have here a picture in my left side where I have graphically represented what is frequency and what is wavelength. What is frequency? It's the number of the waves that are formed in a particular point of time, or maybe in a particular length of time. So what can be the wavelength? It can be the distance between either this crust or this trough. I hope this concept is clear to all of you, because based on the behavior will change depending upon what the substance is, and also based on the frequency and the wavelength. So what is the character which makes it popular is this behavior. The different behavior of this electromagnetic spectrum makes them suitable for a wide range of applications, which we have never thought of. There are a lot more applications of electromagnetic waves. Now moving on, this is something which we have in our textbooks, right? Maybe in your 10th standard or maybe in your 11th standard, you have studied this. Yes, frequency is number of waves per second. It's correct answer, Praneeth. Yes, somebody have typed F is equal to 1/T. So you remember the equations also. Yes, wavelength is the difference between crust and troughs. Number of oscillations per unit time. Yes, I could see a lot of students typing the answers in the chat box. So now moving on, when we hear the term radio waves, what all things will come to our mind? What can be the applications? First, we'll think about the television or maybe the radio communication. We'll think about the AM or FM communication, maybe about the mobile signals, about the radars, maybe the speed guns, the telemetry, maybe in cameras. So we have a lot of options here when it comes to radio waves. So now what about the microwaves? So when we are thinking of microwaves, we'll have the term called the microwave oven. That's the first term that will come into our mind, right? And maybe it's being used in satellite communications also. Now moving on, the next one is infrared. Obviously, we'll have an idea. It's being there in the cameras, infrared cameras. It's being used in heaters, different medical applications, including those of the physiotherapy, then the cameras and all. So these are some of the applications. So I hope my speed is okay. I'm just moving in these topics because these are the topics which you're all are really familiar with. And you have studied these applications in the same way that I've mentioned in your textbooks. It's the same thing that's there in your textbook. Yes, somebody have typed photography. It's Praneeth. Yes, TV remote. Yes, a lot of applications are there coming in the chat box. Now moving on, another radiation, which is UV, the ultraviolet radiation. We know we can use this as a sterilizer, UV sterilizers, or it's being used in the medical field. There are a lot more applications. It's being used in the food processing part, in the aerosol sprayers, maybe in different refrigerator equipments. And I would say another part called something called the energy efficient lamps. That's being used in energy efficient lamps also. So these are some applications of UV radiation. Now moving on, we have X-rays and gamma rays. We know them, right? It's very familiar in the medical field. So when it comes to X-rays, we use them in the industries also to test different materials to understand them. Also in the medical field. Now, when it comes to gamma rays, maybe for treatment of cancers or tumor type of diseases, we are using something called the gamma rays. Now, last one is visible light. Something called the medical endoscopy, or I would say optical fibers. These are some of the common examples. So till now, we have just refreshed what we know. All these things are the basic idea that every individual is having. Now we'll move on to something different, which I wish I could give you a better idea about the things. So when it comes to something related to technology, I have a lot more to discuss. So today we'll be discussing on all these 4 topics. So these are really important topics. So today we'll be discussing about 5G communication, holographic processing, medicine, and terahertz waves. So when it comes to 5G, I'm having the feeling that maybe you are having a lot more information related to 5G than me. It's like you all are the updated people, right? So we'll start with 5G. So what's 5G? Can anybody give me an answer? So I'm looking into the chat box always. Yes, I think, yeah. So just waiting for your answer about what is 5G. Because it's there in maybe newspapers or it's there in news channels for the previous month. It's there. A lot of information about 5G is there in this month of October. We have seen a lot of things. It's the 5th generation. Okay. 5G is the 5th generation technology. It's a broadband cellular network. Yes, Praneeth. Somebody have typed it's a cellular network. Yes, it's Praneeth. Yes, 5G is the next level in network with more benefits. Okay. So 5G, we know, when we hear the term, we know 5G is the 5th generation technology. So we have a basic idea who have developed this 5G, right? It's developed by the 3GPP. It's the 3rd generation partnership project. And when somebody is asking what is 5G, I would just give an answer, right? 5G is the technology standard for the cellular communication. That's what should be your basic answer. It's the standard or it's a technology for the cellular communication. Now moving on. Yes, somebody have typed less latency. Yes, it's Praneeth. It's the most fastest network after the 4th generation. Yes, it's simply the 5th generation of mobile network. Yes, I'm saying it's a high-speed internet. I could see a lot of information. So today we'll be discussing all these things in detail. What's the definition of 5G? What difference in communication did 5G make? Where 5G is being used, or which all areas can have the advantage of 5G is implemented in a proper manner? Maybe about the speed and efficiency, what economic impact 5G can come up with, or is it accessible for us? What's the status? We'll be discussing about all these things in detail today. So just for the basic idea, 5G is the 5th generation mobile network, and it's the latest global wireless standard, and it started from the 1st generation to the 4th generation, and now it's 5G. And what's the aim of 5G is that it enhances communication. The aim is to make the communication seamless as possible, whether it's between people, whether it's between machines, objects, or devices. The communication has to be seamless as possible. That's what the aim of 5G. Yes, like we can fix automobile to make it run. Yes, completely. I agree to the suggestion or the comment that Arvindan have typed. So it's like we can fix an automobile to make it run in something like driverless car. That's what he has mentioned. Yes. So we'll be discussing about all those things today. So we want the communication to be made as seamless as possible. So have you ever thought of what was the transition, how the transition have happened, or what all things are a part of it when it comes to this 5G from the 1st generation to the 5th generation? So let's start with the history part. Let's make an analysis of each one and we'll move to the 5G. So the whole thing started with the first generation, and it was in 1980s. So during that time, we were having that something like that analog cell phones. People can talk with that cell phones. So what the situation was, there was a network which was limited to voice call capabilities. It is the time where all of them started. Now, after 1980s, the next stage or the second generation, it came in 1990s. Sorry. So during that time, we have added some features. So addition of some features, something called the SMS, the MMS, the voice service, the voicemail, all of them were added. The GSM or the GPRS or all the edge advancements were there with the in 2G in the 1990s. Now, when it comes to 2000, a lot of things have changed. The 3G was there. That was the first part in which a lot of advancements have came. Right? So during the 3G, we were having this faster communication. We were having that mobile phone concept, right? We were having that mobile data concept. We are able to browse the internet. So all the features that was there in the 2G was still there with something extra added up. I would say we were having the web browsing, the video streaming experience in the smartphones that came with that of 3G. Now, after 3G, what happened is we moved to 4G. It took from 2000 to 2010, we were having the 3G, then it was 4G. So what all features 3G is having, all that features that is being approved or that is being following the rules and regulations that was set up by the IMT, that's the International Mobile Telecommunications, comes up with the 4G. What are features that 3G is having, which all having the meeting the requirements of the IMT. That's what 4G is. And I would say the concept of mobile TV was there, the concept of cloud computing, maybe the internet access, the video calls. So all the things were there added up with something extra. Now we are currently in the 5th generation. So here a lot more things are there. All the things that are that were there with the 4G is still here. We have something more, maybe like IoT or cloud computing or a lot more advancements. Lesser delay, the latency rate is very low, the faster data transfer rate, more connectivity, multiple devices can be connected. So a lot more things are added, and we are here with the 5G. So I think you can just go through the slide. So here also I have mentioned it, but it's in a separate format. So 1980s, it was analog voice. 1990s, it was digital voice. The mobile broadband was in 3G, 2000s. Then 2010, it was the better one. And now it's like everything is here. We have interconnected devices, we have sensors, we have different systems that is connected to our. So I think I can move the slides. We'll discuss the remaining things. So just give me a minute. Yes. Yes, extra technologies are added in 5G. Yes, it's completely there. So we'll be discussing about that also. So I have a diagram here for all of you. It's the map, and you can see the different things. So the dark blue color, it indicates the 5G networks launched. This is of June 2022. This report or this image is of June 2022. The status is of June 2022. And the light blue, it shows the 5G technology deployed, and the green, which shows investment in 5G. Those countries where the 5G have already launched, those parts of the world where 5G technology is deployed, and those parts of the world where they have started investing in 5G. That's what this is showing. So just a question to all of you, what's the status of 5G in our world? Are there, it's like a lot of countries who are behind this 5G, or are the countries which are using this? So what's the status? Can anybody give an idea from your side? Or just a question, are we using 5G in India? Is something that the mobile data that we are using in our mobile phones, is it 5G or is it 4G? 5G networks are now currently available in Delhi side. Yes, it's completely fine. Some are using already. Yes, I know you all are updated. It's the starting stage. Yes. So we'll be discussing about all those things in detail. How the auction happened, which all companies are there, what's the current status. So we'll be discussing about all of them. Hyderabad, it will be available within some time, I think. Yes. Yes, 4G plus is available for 5G devices. Mostly it's 4G, yes. Yes. So you know that it's launched in India, but you're not having an idea about the world. Somebody have typed like that. Okay. We'll be discussing about all those things in detail. So I would say a lot of advancements are coming, and the 5G is there. It's hitting all of us in a really fast manner. So I would say, according to the latest statistics, about 70 countries in the world have the 5G. So up to 2020, it was about 30 or something. So the number have doubled for up to 1 year. And I would say the people who are accessible to this 5G, the count will reach 1 billion maybe within some days. So leading to the global race in the 5G innovations, these are some of the countries which are having, so their positions, the countries in the world and their positions according to the 5G. So in China, they are having 341 cities with this 5G. In USA, they are having 279. In South Korea, they are having 85 cities. Similarly, we have UK, Spain is there, Canada, Australia, Saudi Arabia, Italy, France, Thailand, Sweden. So we have just started. We are among the 70 nations, 70 countries in the world. So we have just started this thing. Maybe we'll improve our position. Yes, somebody have typed Dio has already started. Airtel have launched it in 8 cities. Yes, I know you all are updated. So we'll be discussing about those things. Just one question. In terms of number of cities, I would say China is the first among the world. So in terms of speed, which is the fastest, or which country is having the fastest 5G network? Or what can be the speed? So here I have a graph for you. So South Korea is the topmost position. South Korea is in the topmost position with the fastest 5G speed. It's above 400 Mbps. So you can see two positions here, two colors here. So the first one is in the orange shade, which is the 5G download speed. And the second one is in the red shade, which is the 5G upload speed. So just have a good look at this graph. We have something to discuss more towards the end of the session. So you can see the download speed is really high. See what the South Korea is having. The download speed is about 400 plus Mbps, and see the upload speed, it's about 21.3. See the range difference that's having. In every country, it's almost the same. Somebody who is having a very good, I would say the upload speed is something called the Switzerland, and it's just 48.3 Mbps. Yes. Yes, why there is a difference in download and upload speed. We'll be discussing about it. Yes, somebody have typed US is having. Okay, so we'll discuss about those in maybe towards the end of the session. Now, 5G adoption is it's continuing in the world, right? A lot of countries are adopting it, and the range or the deadline is something like 2027. So I would say by 2027, that's the statistics that's showing. 3 in 4 people will be using this 5G. That's what the world leaders are saying, the business leaders are saying. So we know the auction towards the spectrum that has happened in August, right? So just 2 months back, we have the fastest launch of the new technology, that's 5G. So we have already implemented this 5G in the month of this month itself, in the October 1st week something. So India has joined the 5G services. So I would say the Bharti Airtel and the Reliance Jio, they have launched this 5G in different places. So we'll be discussing about all of them in detail, about the speed and all the other things. So is the speed in 5G high? So I would say mobile subscribers will get a speed of up to 600 megabits per second when it comes to 5G. So it's maybe double or maybe more than that when compared to that of 4G. Now it's in the initial part, so maybe the speed is pretty high. Maybe when it's implemented in a full manner, the speed, there is a chance that it can get reduced. So for downloading 6 GB or something of file, it will take only maybe 1 minute or less than 1 minute. That's what the situation is. So I would tell you, can anybody name the cities in which the Jio or the Reliance, the Airtel have launched this 5G? So there are 4 cities common for both of them. It's launched in Delhi, Mumbai, Varanasi, Bangalore. Then Hyderabad, it's just starting. Similarly, Chennai or Nagpur or Siliguri, it's just in the starting stage. Okay, just a question to everybody who is listening to this session. Do you need to change your SIM card to avail this 5G services? Have anybody thought about it? Yes, somebody typed Delhi, Mumbai. Yes, it's completely fine. I have a question to you. Do we need to, it's not, it'll come soon, Suren? Yes. Okay, no. So your answer is no, that we don't need to change our existing SIM. To some extent, the research has shown that this is completely fine. But if we want to enjoy the 5G in its full level, maybe we have to change our SIM, and all those details will come later. And what about the signal strength of 5G? So I thought anyway we are discussing, so we'll discuss something new. So what about the signal strength? Have you heard about anything called when it's near the tower, only people are getting signals, or any issues? There are a lot more issues that different people are facing who have started using the 5G. So the coverage is not there in different places. And also another question, what about the prices? Will the price be increased, or what's the range? For Airtel, there is no need to change SIM. Okay. So in Jio 5G booth, they can give up to 1. Yes, it's completely, I agree to your answer. So according to the latest statistics, the price is also same. Now I have a question to you. I have 2 terms written here. So the first one is 5G SA technology, and the second one is 5G NSA non-standalone technology. Can anybody name? Can anybody name what this is? What is SA and what is NSA? Yes, I'm checking the chat box. Yes, somebody have typed the strength of it. Okay. What is SA and what is NSA? So I would say we have 2 companies who have implemented this 5G. So Reliance Jio, it's depending upon the technology called the SA, which is the standalone technology. And the Airtel is depending upon the technology called NSA. So what the difference is when it comes to 5G SA, which means that they should not have a base of, or the 4G core, it will not depend upon the 4G core technology. When it comes to NSA, it has to have the 4G core, and it's something added to the 4G, that's the NSA. So which people will have more benefit? Those people who are using the 5G SA. That's the standalone. They will have more benefit. That is, the Jio people will have more benefit compared to that of Airtel, because Airtel is still depending upon the 4G core plus some advanced features of 5G. So you'll have better call quality, maybe better download quality, maybe fewer drops in calls when it comes to SA. And I would say SA will use less battery. That's also there. And another point I wish to say at this point of time is, I just want to know what are the bandwidths. Do you know when the auction happened, what are the bandwidths, or how the bands have splitted among them? Can anybody give me that information? Yes, Aravindan, different tests are running on, and they'll come up with the solutions to that also. Yes, for standalone, you have to change the SIM. That will be there, and it will be published maybe in the coming days. So I would say there are different bands. So the first one is low band, and it's of the FR1 category. I would say N5, N8, N20, N28. So this is in the low band, and it's for the non-metro coverage for the 5G in the lower band. And the second one is of the mid band, which will have the N1, N3, N40, N41, N77, and N78. And it's for something where there is high density population. Now, another one is something called MM wave. MM wave band is the millimeter wave band, which is having the 257 and 258. Have you ever heard about millimeter waves? They have to play a very important role when it comes to 5G. But I would say in our country, we are not having any smartphones or any devices which can accept this millimeter wave bands, or which can work with these bands. It's N257 and N258. So maybe different other countries are using this. Maybe nearby future, they can also come in our country. Yes, it is used in low band. There is mid and high level. Yes, Bhuvanesh, it's completely fine. So now we'll move on to something which is really interesting about the features of 5G. So one more thing, have you heard about 5Gi? 5Gi. It's also a network standard which is approved by the International Telecommunication Union. And do you know it's being developed by the IIT people, IIT Hyderabad and Chennai. They together have formed something called 5GI. It's also a network telecommunications standard, or it's a union. They have approved it as the 5GI. That can also be used. So now we'll look on why we need 5G or what are the features here. So can anybody predict what's the speed we are having when it comes to the download speed? I would say maximum of about the Jio is providing something about 29, maybe in a constant 29 Mbps in a constant range. So when we are having 5G, we'll have a faster and smoother transmission of data. The second point is we'll have higher amount of data to transfer. And the third one is our download speed will be faster and we can have more connected devices. So all these are some of the advantages that 5G can offer us, or that 5G can provide us in the coming days when it's implemented in a full-fledged manner. Yes. Yes, Bhuvanesh have typed about millimeter waves. It's between 30 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. Yes, the range is completely fine. So I have it here in the next slide. So how fast is 5G? We know the concept. How much shorter the frequency is, the wavelength will be larger, right? So here we can make use of the millimeter waves, which is having a range difference between 30 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. And see the graph. It was from 3.5G. Then there was 4G LTE, then 4G LTE Cat 4 was there, 4G LTE Advanced was there, 5G Plus was there. See the range. It's increasing, right? From 42.2 Mbps to 100 Mbps, 150 Mbps, 1000 to 10,000 Mbps. So see the range that will happen. We'll not be able to get all these benefits maybe in the blink of an eye. It will take some time. So everything have already started. So we have to just wait for it to happen. Now, these are some of the benefits that 5G is offering. So the first one is no network issue. We have discussed about the latency and the very less time required for the data transfer and all. So the delay will not be less and the network issues will be very less. Now, can anybody give me the definition of the latency? This is a very important term when it comes to communication. What does mean by latency? I hope you have studied about latency in your school. Latency is something like the delay between the sending and the reception of information. So I have sent some information to somebody. So the delay that has happened between the sending and the reception can be called as latency. So when it comes to the slower delay, it can affect a lot of industries, or it can, yes, like delay. Yes, yes. A lot of students have typed it's something related to delay. Yes. So here the delay will be very less. So I would say the functionality or those places which need automation, they will have a lot more benefits. So those places which need things to get done faster, it's like without lags and all, they'll have better advantage. Now the next one is something called the data capacity. So I would say obviously the cloud part will get the benefit of this feature. It's the greater data capacity. They are mostly focusing on something called data capacity compared to the latency. So that cloud part will also benefit, even the IoT also. So these are also something which is going to benefit the automation sector, where everything or every work will be streamlined. The second one is something called the big data analytics. So we know now data is really important. The storage, the collection, how it's going to be processed. A lot is there with data. So big data analytics is another field which is having the advantages. And maybe as an individual, as a person, we'll have richer communication experiences as the delay is very less. Now, what can be the real life experience? Something almost similar. So the first one is elevated streaming experience, better coverage on smartphones, and the third one is road safety. We can have unlimited entertainment, the uninterrupted streaming. We can enjoy maybe unlimited data without delay. That's what the elevated streaming experience can be. There can be entertainment without a limit. And the second one is better phone coverage or better coverage for the smartphones. Those areas which were not accessible, they can get this benefit. So a lot of statistics have shown that it can benefit the education sector also. Now coming to the road safety, somebody have typed about the self-driving cars, the concept of, yes, there is low buffering. So maybe when it comes to this buffering, when there is some match and all, when everybody is watching this match, we can automatically feel that delay in the match we are viewing, right? Now moving on to the driverless car concept, or moving on to road safety. We have the self-driving cars, and that's implemented in different countries, right? It's the new part. So when it comes to self-driving cars, a lot of things need to be considered, where this latency has to play a very important role. These cars have to communicate, something called the connected cars, in which my device is getting connected to another devices. So they themselves can send the information. So the autonomous vehicles, they can detect the dangers, they can take decisions within a minimum time. They can interact with the smart signs, maybe they can pass informations, they can follow the map themselves. So a lot of things can happen, a lot of benefits will come when 5G is implemented. Now I think we'll move on. Yes, in the energy industry also, and also the healthcare sector, a lot of benefits will come when 5G is implemented. Now, I would say smart homes. So all these, the better security. So all these fields will get affected. Now I have an example, which is something related to the self-driving cars or the driverless cars. So here, we know what's lower latency, right? The delay between the sending and receiving information. So I have an image before you. You can see what I have written on the slide. It's 5G and IoT, something called match made in heaven, right? So I have a question. For a human individual, when you're just looking at it, you have to read it, you have to take the reflex, right? So for a human, it will take minimum of 200 milliseconds or 1/4 of a second to understand what this is. If I'm showing a picture of a flower, you have to understand, yes, this is lotus or this is this flower. So your mind, or you have to give the reflex action, right? So the average reaction time for the humans to a particular stimulus is about 250 milliseconds. It's 1/4 of a second. So I would say in 4G, it was 200 milliseconds. And there are certain individuals who are really trained in doing these things. So for them, they can get the stimulus maybe in 190 or maybe in 200 milliseconds. So when it comes to 5G, from that 200 or 250, it's reduced to 1 millisecond with the 5G. So see the change, the drastic change that has happened or that's going to happen when it's implemented in a full-fledged manner. See, something like you are not able to respond at that point because it's taking some more milliseconds for you to respond, because it takes 200 for you or 180 for you. But for your car, it's just in a blink of an eye. So your car is going to be, or whatever the device, it's going to respond more faster than you. So that's what the situation is going to happen. I would say self-driving cars is going to get the benefit of this aggressive latency and this fast response. And we have already mentioned something related to the enterprise-based cloud services, where they'll make use of the higher data transfer rate. Then I think we'll move on. And I've mentioned some other sectors also which will have these advantages. The field of artificial intelligence, the field of IoT, the field of cloud computing, robotics process automation, where maybe there is a chance that more and more fields get automated with the 5G, with the coming of 5G. So I think we'll end the part of 5G and we'll move on to the next applications. So have you ever thought, or there may be some articles in newspapers, something like 5G is having, or 5G poses some health risk. Do you have an opinion in that? Does 5G pose any health risk or something like that? Maybe there was some newspaper cutting like it's affecting people, it can cause cancer, it's affecting birds, something like that. I have seen some random news in different channels or newspapers. Do you have an opinion in it? I'm waiting for your reply in the chat box. So I think nobody have replied. So it's just waiting for you. Yes. So here, what I have to mention is we need to educate the people about what 5G is, what it's going to make, which all sectors it's going to get improved. I would say manufacturing industry, the media industry, the automotive sector, even the learning process, a lot of hybrid learning things can come. I would say during that 5G inauguration, maybe you have heard about something called the Geo Glass, that glass they have implemented, which can use the augmented reality or the concept which can be used by the teachers and the students, and it can enhance the learning method. So a lot of advancements can come in all the sectors with this 5G. Now we have discussed about the upload and the download speeds, right? So when water is there will always be an indifference or imbalance in the upload and the download speed. So what are exciting is the 5G. There are some things which or some consequences that's there, and we have to be really careful about it. It can have an impact in the battery life. Maybe the high cost will be there, and there is always an imbalance in the upload and the download speed. That is also there, and it's always will be there. And somebody have yes, you have an opinion that birds will die, but the thing is that there is no proof of it. Maybe in some newspapers, I think the flights were cancelled because they were performing the 5G trials. I also have heard that news, but there is no proof on what is happening. Now I think we'll move on. So it's already a part of our life and it's already there. Now moving on to the next part, we have something to discuss, which is called terahertz waves. Have you heard about terahertz waves? What's the peculiarity of this category of waves? Are there any fields which are making a use of them? Yes. Okay. So I think very less number of students have heard about the terahertz waves. It can be called as the THZ waves. Yes, I too agree, but it's something we are saying, but there is no proof that something like this is there. Yes, somebody have typed it's being used in military. Yes, Bhuvanesh, it's the correct answer. So I would tell you what are terahertz waves. These are the waves which are able to transfer huge amount, I would say bulk amount of data or huge amount of data within 13 milliseconds or something like that. We use the term blink of an eye. So they transfer huge files in the blink of an eye. And we used to call this term something called the T-ray vision. It's the terahertz waves vision. It has the ability to peer through different things, maybe the walls, maybe the different parts. It is having such a type of vision. So it is helping us to find out maybe are there any explosive, are there any weapons, or are there any metals in some area where it's not allowed. So it can be used in some area, something like scanning. In scanners and all, we can use it. So we'll see the different applications or different areas in which these waves are used. Okay. Yes, somebody have typed at 10 to the power 12. Yes. For searching bombs, obviously. So we'll be discussing about it. So I have added that in your electromagnetic spectrum. So it's the places between infrared and the microwave. The place of the terahertz waves is between infrared and the microwave. So I would say it's a position between two waves. So obviously these terahertz waves will have the properties of both of them. That is, the terahertz waves will possess the properties of both the microwaves as well as the infrared waves, at least some properties. So these are the properties which is going to help us or going to give a lot of applications to them. So the first one is penetration. I would say we have heard about the scattering property, right? How these waves are scattering and all. So when it comes to terahertz waves, they have very less scattering. What the properties, their penetration is really high. They have that sharp penetration capability. And their wavelength is higher compared to that of the infrared wavelength. So the first property is penetration. Now the second one is something called resolution. So they have shorter wavelength compared to the microwave. So they are having a better spatial resolution. Now the third one is safety. It plays a very important role in something called the safety. So here, X-rays, you have an idea about the X-rays, right? The different applications and all. So when it comes to the photon energies of the X-rays is higher compared to that of the tera waves. So the THZ waves will have the photon energy. The photon energies will be less. So it is having a property called it's non-ionizing in nature. It's non-ionizing. So we have seen the penetration. We have seen the different properties of it. That is penetration, about the resolution, and about the non-ionizing nature of it. Now moving to the applications, I would say obviously the applications are in medical field. Most of the applications, I would say communication sector, even the military, and the detection of items that's being used. Yes, bombs and all, it's there. It's being used by a lot of in lot of military operations, I would say. So the applications include bioimaging, medical diagnosis, communication sector, explosive detection, industrial inspections, and security cameras. So these are the areas in which terahertz waves plays a very important role. I could see yes, yes, okay. So let's discuss the applications one by one, because it's really important for you to have an understanding about what's there in each one of them. So the first one is medical imaging. So these terahertz waves are able to penetrate to those areas or those parts which is having a very low water content. And the important property is that they didn't ionize. They are not having that ionization. So we don't need to worry about damaging our body, or is it something like it's harmful for us. So they also don't ionize, or they don't damage the living tissue, because they are having very less photon energy compared to that of the X-rays and the other radiations. So that's the first advantage. Now, the second one is security, that we have already mentioned, right? They can easily pass through different substances. So we'll be able to uncover it, the concealed weapons, or maybe it can be used in body scans. So that can be an option. And the third one is for military purposes. So as it's a very good scanner, as it helps to find out what are concealed. So it's being used in ground-based radio telescopes, space-based remote sensing, maybe for easy data transmission. And I would say for military and all, they need a quick data transmission. It has to be done in seconds. So that property can be used by the military sector. Now, when it comes to communication, I would say the communication range is really limited, but it's too fast, and the data transfer rate is really high. So when the area is less and if the amount of data that needs to be transferred is really huge, we can go for it. Now, I think I have some more applications related to the medical field. Have you ever heard of something called the tomography, the terahertz tomography? It's a very important feature of terahertz, which helps us to examine the upper layer of our body, about the skins, about the vessels, our joints, our muscles, etc. So it's useful in finding out the skin cancers, the breast cancers, even at the early stages. And I would say a lot of us have had this gypsum or this band-aids, right? So these terahertz are having the capability to pass through this also. So the doctors can have an analysis of all these things, what's there, without opening what the gypsum or the band-aids that have kept in. They can analyze the conditions of the wounds under them. And I would say the images of teeth, it can help in finding out the teeth cancers and all, something like the epithelial cancers, or it can help in the 3D imaging of teeth. Now it's also being used by the pharmaceutical industries in finding out the composition of the tablets, about the chemical composition, what it is, whether it's useful. Then in the airports, obviously the scanning systems, the security systems in the airports, whether there is any concealed things that's there. So these are some of the other practical applications of the terahertz waves. Now I think we'll move on to the another application, which is called as the holographic processing. How many of you have heard about hologram? We have seen about this in different movies, right? We have seen this in different movies. So I think somebody have typed, yes, thermal imaging scanning, it's there. Yes, it's being used in marine sector also. I have not listed out all the applications. I have listed out something which I felt, yeah, I need to tell. That's it. A lot more applications are there in each and every sector. So how many of you have heard about holographic image processing? How many of you know what the process is it? We have heard about hologram, right? Yes, I think Bhuvnesh have typed yes. Okay. Yes, a lot of students have typed yes, you have heard about hologram. So we'll discuss about something called holography. Holography is a method in which we'll be generating three-dimensional images. Something like creating a hologram out of a wave. That's the concept. It's possible to make a hologram for any type of waveform. So I would tell you what the method is. Just yes, you have heard about it. You have seen in a lot of movies. That's why I took that reference. This hologram is there in a lot of movies. I would say it's being used in the space sector, maybe in the education sector, a lot of areas. So what the working principle is, a hologram is made by superimposing a second wavefront, that's a reference berm, on the wavefront of interest. So I need to produce the hologram with this particular wave. So I need to take a reference part, that's the second wavefront. and I'll generate an interference pattern and I'll record that in a medium. This is what the process is, the basic idea of the process is. Hologram is made by superimposing a second wavefront, which I will call as a reference beam, on the wavefront of the interest. It means the wave, I need to prepare a hologram on this particular type of wavefront. And I'll generate an interference pattern and I'll be recording it in a particular medium. That's what the whole process is. So here it enables the light field to be recorded. And even if I'm not having the original medium or original light field, I'll be able to reconstruct whatever I have taken. Even in the absence of the original object, I'll be able to find this out, what has happened or how this will look like. That's what the whole concept of hologram is. It's being used by every industry. I would say when it comes to manufacturing industry, when it comes to production industry, every industry is making use of this concept. Maybe in manufacturing, there are different parts. But the most important consumer of this concept of holographic processing is the medical science. So when it comes to these waves and all, we are having a lot of applications related to the bio part or the biology field. So holographic imaging is a very important part in the medical science. So here there are two important examples. So the first one is viewing human skeleton and the second one is identification of the abnormal growth. So it can help the doctors in identifying the human skeleton, maybe about the organs, about the muscles. So before performing a surgery, they can have an analysis. Even this can help in forming the 3D images or the 3D structures of this, whichever part is needed. And the second one is something like identifying the abnormal growth. Maybe to identify different types of tumors or cancers. So whatever it may be, any abnormal growth. So this is being used by a lot of researchers who are working in the medical field. Now I think we'll move on to the final part of today's session. Yes, video gaming. Yes, that's already there. Being used in medicine, science, education, space, all the sectors are there. So now we'll move on to the final part of today's session. It's the medical science. So medical science is also a field where we have a lot of advantages to detect the different health conditions and all. So today I have mentioned very less number of parts. Yes, somebody have typed X-rays and all. Yes, it's there. So here you can see the diagram. We are using X-rays, gamma rays, maybe to perform the phototherapy, the endoscopy, the colonoscopy, even MRI, thermal imaging. Lot of options are there. So the medical field is one which is which is making use of what is called as these waves. So I have just taken 3 examples from the medical field. So the first one is MRI, which is the magnetic resonance imaging. Second one is RF ablation. And the third one is localized dielectric heating. We'll quickly see what each of them is. So how many of you have heard about MRI? You all know it's the magnetic resonance imaging, right? It's an imaging technique. I would say it's a non-invasive technique in which we'll produce the 3-dimensional detailed anatomical structures of our body. Same case, it's used in the detection, diagnosis, and the treatment of different diseases. So I would say when it comes to MRI, I have something more to discuss. How this MRI is working? Have anybody? Yes, some students have typed yes. How it is working? It's working based on the magnets, right? It's being used to produce the 3-dimensional, maybe the anatomical pictures or the images, but it's how it's working. There are some magnets here which are producing strong magnetic fields. It's based on the certain force of the photons which are moving in our body, in which directions they are moving. Based on that, maybe we have to align all the photons to a particular direction. So when it's aligned to that particular part, the image of the MRI will be more clearer or more brighter. So it's completely based on the water concept in our body. We know the water is making up the living tissue, right? So it's completely based on the photons that's found in the water in our body or in our living tissues. That's what the basic is. And we have the magnets and we are keeping them. We are getting these photons aligned. We are taking the image. And maybe after some time, these magnets may get heated. So we have some coolants also. I would say helium is a very good coolant which is used to cool these magnets. So this is the process in which the MRI is working. A very brief idea about how MRI works. Now I have given three important parts or three important components which is needed for an MRI to work. So the first one is the static magnetic field, and the frequency has to be 0. And there is a fixed flux density also, I've just mentioned it. And the second one is something called the low power type varying magnetic field gradient. Some magnetic field gradients has also to be there for this MRI to work correctly. Now the third one is the radio frequency fields, and they have to have a particular frequency. Now moving on, we have started using MRIs, right? We know when it comes to MRIs, it's more safer than X-rays because these type of rays are non-ionizing. And I would say, see the count here. Every year, approximately 60 million MRI scans are performed worldwide. See the count. Yes, it's used to find the wounds inside our body. Yes, it's completely fine. Yes, somebody have typed, yes, students are typing reference, taking reference from movies. It's really good. So it's best suited for imaging the soft tissues, maybe something like creating the structures and maybe detecting what are diseases we are having. Now moving on to the second part, how many of you have heard about this thing, radio frequency ablation? It's being mainly used by two departments. First one is cardiology and the second one is oncology. Cardiology, where they use it to treat the cardiac disorders. It's something like to treat the irregular rhythms of your heart. It can be corrected using something called the radio frequency ablation. It's a medical procedure. Now the second one is to find out the tumors. So here, when it comes to this radio frequency ablation, we have a needle-like structure. This is inserted in which area the tumor is having, and we'll increase the temperature and we'll destruct the tissue. That's what the process is. Now, I think we'll move on to the final concept. It's the localized dielectric heating. This is a method which is being used by different physiotherapist persons or the physiotherapy doctors. So they will place some the plates, maybe which are part of our body is affected. They'll place some plates, our body between those plates, and they'll increase the heat and they'll the swollen tissues or healing of tissues. This concept can be used. It's also something related to the high frequency alternating current. It's called as the localized dielectric heating. So I think I'm towards the end of the session. So this is a very important quote. The advance of technology is based on making it fit, and so that you don't really even notice it's becoming a part of your daily life. So a lot of things are coming up, a lot of new technologies are coming up. We are getting adapted to it. So you as students, you need to be open towards everything that's happening. You need to be open towards every new technology that is coming. You need to try it at least once. If you feel like, yeah, it's not my thing, you can leave it. So just try or just be open towards all the changes that's happening around. That's the tip for today. So I hope today's session was useful and you have received some idea about the different parts of electromagnetic waves. So if you have any queries, you can send it to this mail ID or this mobile number. So maybe for the some calls that I've received, I have not answered. So I'll surely call you back within 1 or 2 days. So this is my mail ID. So if you have any comments, you can just type. I'm just looking into the chat box. So I hope you have received some idea today about the 5G, about the medical sector, about the terahertz waves and all the features that we have mentioned today. So please do note down these things. And thank you so much, students, for attending. So I hope today's session was useful. If you have any queries, you can just type in the chat box. I'm ready to address your queries also. Yes, I think. So thank you, students. I hope the session was useful. So please be ready for tomorrow's session. So tomorrow we'll be discussing about mathematics. And that's a very, very common topic, something like algebra. So we'll be discussing a lot more applications of algebra. So happy evening and a happy day. Thank you all. Thank you.